Chapter 71 Reaching the Tier 0 Limit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Over the next 5 days, Max trained like an absolute beast. He gained merit points all night and spent 13 hours of the university time all inside training chambers trying to maximize his training time, cutting back even on lectures. He pushed his body to the absolute limit inside the gravity chamber, training under 12G, even though his body could only handle 9G environment barely for the full 10 hours, pushing himself through sheer grit and tenacity so that he may see some small gains faster. He asked the medical nurses to mutilate his body till the very limit and to make the stinging healing water even more potent, as he did not care about the pain, and only wanted the results. The reason why Max pushed so hard was because he knew perfectly well which tournament his brother talked about. In his past life, it was just before this tournament that he had worked hard to be promoted to Tier 1, and while the entire Earth awaited his promotion result with bated breaths, his assessment came back to be the worst possible assessment out there, with the class being assigned to him being a F-rated class. He was mocked, he was laughed at, and he was called a disgrace, but despite his weak class he tried his best in the tournament, because he knew he could redeem his pride should he win in the tournament. It was hard, but he did manage to crawl his way into the top 8, before his dreams were crushed and he was defeated in the quarters. Even in his past life, Benedict went on to become the champion, defeating even the guy who defeated Max in the semis, so if Max managed to defeat Benedict this time around it would prove that Max had indeed changed his life around. However, only humiliation awaited him if he was to be defeated even in this life. It was a gamble, since Max did not actually know his ceiling, but after hitting plus 41 points in Constitution and a whopping plus 44 in Agility, Max finally reached the apex of Tier 0. Good job, boy, but there is no time to celebrate. You completing the path of the perfect warrior for this tier means you will have a busy day tomorrow with the Tier 1 promotion test. Stop the training for today, go out and book the tier promotion test inside the university for tomorrow, and then take a good night's rest after taking a long hot bath. By God, you smell like horse shit. The only women you are attracting with this stench is the bare beast women. Drax instructed Max, who wobbled his way out of the gravity chamber, for the first time before closing time, which was 45 minutes later. The manager outside the chamber raised an eyebrow when he saw that Max had left the training grounds early, but seeing the stupid smile on Max's face he knew that he had probably reached maximization. You did it? He asked in a curious voice. I did it. Max replied with a smile. Although Max's legs did not work for a while after coming out of the gravity chamber, he crawled with his arms, dragging his body on the floor as Severus frowned deeply walking beside him. You look like an absolute buffoon. Severus said, I don't care. Max replied, but I care. Your sweat is dripping all over the floor, then people complain there are germs on the ground. There are not. It's idiots like you. Severus said as he lifted Max over his shoulders, walking swiftly towards the Tier 1 promotion center. Max wriggled a little in Severus's grip, getting his lower back to be over Severus's shoulder as he relaxed his body and let his joints click as he bounced up and down with every step that Severus took. Ack, that feels nice. Max said as the students in the halls threw him and the sweeper weird glances, to which Max and Severus paid no heed. Eventually, Severus placed Max in front of the registrar office, as Max walked lazily inside thanking Severus for his help. While Max thought that Asiva was the only one who knew the exact numbers behind his racial limit, little did Max know that there were no secrets hidden from Severus, who noted every little behavior and attribute of Max down in his notebook. Being both proud of Max's commitment to training and wary of his monstrous racial cap, which was higher than even the angel race. One of the biggest benefits of the university was the private Tier 1 promotion testing arena. If one undertook a tier promotion test in a public arena, like one of the 17 testing arenas inside Morningstar Planet or the one on Earth, their result was declared publicly to the world with no attributes remaining hidden. This was not only detrimental for confidentiality, but for Max, who was destined for a low assessment, the Tier 1 promotion test was an affair of great shame and embarrassment. One of Max's biggest reasons to join the academy was that it provided a confidential Tier 1 promotion test, with the results not known to anyone but the university records. At least this way, Max could walk out with his dignity intact. Scheduling his test for the next day, Max waited for Asiva outside her class as she, Anna and Max then took off together to head back to the dorms, without Sebastian who had not been attending the university classes since the last 3 days, apparently busy with a project of his own. Upon reaching the room, Max quickly took a shower after days and instantly his sore muscles felt much better after coming in contact with hot water. The bath refreshed him and sleep found its way to him the moment he hit the bed. Unfortunately for him however, Grandpa Drax was not going to allow him to sleep before doing a very important task with him first. Boy, before you sleep, distribute all of your unassigned attribute points at once. Tomorrow after you tier up, all stats will double, and while it's good that you have saved all your attribute points up till now, they won't double if you don't utilize them, which will be a big waste. So think hard as to how you want to distribute them, and do it today itself. Max groaned, but understood the importance of what Drax told him, so silently opened his stat panel and began distributing all the stat points that he had accumulated since level 5. /////A/N. Bonus chapter for hitting the GT target. Don't forget to check out the stat panel in the author notes with some special explanations. Also there will be a 4th chapter today, since the story did not get to the point where I planned, and I need to give you all 24 hours to reply to the question. ///// Chapter 72 Tier 1 Promotion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Max had a total of 54 unassigned AP to play with, and under Drax's advice he used 14 on Dexterity, 5 on Constitution, 15 on Strength, 8 on Agility, 8 on Endurance and 4 on Intelligence. Only after his stat distribution did Max realize how much his race change and stat maximization had helped him, as while the human race player would have a 6 stat average of only 35.40 points, with his race change Max was a powerhouse with a 6 stat average of a whopping 69 points. He was twice as strong as a human warrior of the same level, and with all his stats to be doubled once he got promoted to Tier 1 his strength would soar by leaps and bounds. The next day, on the day of the test, Max woke up laser focused as he was ready to pass the Tier 1 promotion test with a full score. Regardless of the class offered to him by the Universal Queen after the test, his aim was only to pass the Tier 1 promotion test with a SSS evaluation. Don't drink blood today Max, let your satiety fall below 60. Drax said as Max reached his inventory to drink his quota of blood today. Why? Max asked, a little shocked by the bizarre request. If you trust your grandpa, do as he says. Drax said, offering no explanations. Max was reluctant, but in the end he did trust Drax enough to take his word as he did not drink blood before heading out to the woods today. His satiety was at 75% and after reaching the university by cutting through the forest his satiety dropped at a dangerous 62% before the test. Good luck, Asiva and Anna said as they parted ways with Max heading towards their lecture, as Max walked into the testing arena and underwent the Tier 1 promotion test. The Tier 1 promotion test was the easiest promotion test out there, with the only parameters being tested in the test being the 6 basic attributes of a player. There were 3 tests, with a clear demarcation given for all the various assessments, and Max was aiming for the highest assessment in all 3 tests, which was a SSS rating. The first test was an inclined hill run, and the par score for getting a SSS rating was to run 17 kilometers in under 30 minutes. To put the difficulty of this test into perspective, the world record for 10 kilometers run by a human was 27 minutes, which meant that getting a SSS rating in this promotion test already meant that one exceeded world-class athlete level. Max was confident in this test. He had been grinding against the inclined hill non-stop in the endurance training chamber, and that was with weights tied around his body. Without the weights, Max completed the 17 kilometers run in just 29 minutes and 5 seconds, scoring a SSS evaluation in the first test. While Max completed the test with ease, by the end his satiety reached an even dangerous 60% threshold, now on the verge of tipping over. The second test was a strength-based test, where Max was supposed to break free from a series of complex binds using his body strength alone. At first the constraints were relatively easy to break through, feeling like small threads. However, with time the ropes got thicker and Max needed more and more time to break free. In this manner Max had to use every single muscle in his body to his limit to break free from his bounds. The par score to get a SSS rating was to break past the 20-second restraint, and while Max breezed through to 17, he was struggling a little after that. It was at this moment that his satiety fell below 60% as his thoughts became more and more cloudy and his animalistic instincts took over. Max began laughing like a madman as he broke through stage 18, 19, 20, 21 like they meant nothing, triggering an unheard bonus round after he cleared the SSS par score at 22. Max continued to break through stages 23, 24, 25, 26 until the bindings restraining him changed from thick ropes the size of a man's thigh to metal bounds that were used to restrain wild elephants, but even then Max broke through 2 more metal restraints before finally being subdued at level 29. His arms and legs bled profusely from the intense struggle that he had undergone against his bounds, but Max did not mind the pain at all as he spoke in a growling animalistic voice, "More. I want more." Although Max did not understand his own anatomy, Drax did very well, and one hidden feature about Max's anatomy was that while his overall strength dropped a bit when his satiety hit below 60%, his ability to draw out his total strength increased dramatically. It was like the barriers inside Max's brain set in place to not overload Max's muscles stopped working when his satiety fell below 60% as his primal instincts took over, making him utilize 100% of his muscle strength even at the risk of injuring or tearing them. Max became akin to a beast on steroids who was extremely true to his base nature of a primal warrior. The last test was a reflex test, as Max was bombarded with darts from 360 degrees. The goal was to block the projectile or dodge for more than 10 minutes for a SSS assessment. Max, who had been training in the gravity chambers, found reflex training under normal gravity to be a piece of cake, with his primal instincts giving him a much better sixth sense to deal with projectiles that his eyes did not catch. Max laughed in joy as saliva dripped from his mouth while he dodged the projectiles, the test getting progressively more difficult with every passing minute. However, Max was not affected from start to finish. Passing the Tier 1 promotion with flying colors, Max completed the test with an unprecedented rating. System notification. You have cleared the Tier 1 promotion test with a SSS Plus rating, surpassing the perfect score for the test, becoming 17,003 RD individual to do so throughout history. You are no longer an unnamed individual without an identity and can now choose your player name, with which the universe will call you. Please enter your player name. Raven. Max shouted with a hearty laugh. System notification. Congratulations player, Raven, for successfully completing the Tier 1 promotion test. Since you have cleared the test with a beyond perfect score, you will now be allowed to choose from between 1 out of 6 classes assigned to you by the Universal Queen. 1. Foot Soldier, class rating F. A trash class, meant for individuals who can amount to nothing but cannon fodders in the universe. 2. Blood Warlock, class rating A. A mage plus warrior class specializing in blood-based abilities. Note: while this class is offered to you because of your bloodline ability, majority of the class-specific skills of this class requires you to have mana. 3. Berserker, class rating C+. Become a mad warrior unshackled by the limits of common sense. Jump head first into battle with the confidence to solo an entire army, or die trying. 4. Occultist, class rating A. Utilize the knowledge of ancient runes and rituals to create large-scale spells that draw power from mana stones. 5. Blood Shaman, class rating A+. A class that is forgotten amongst the ranks of the Light faction after the demise of the primordial vampires. A powerful class that was said to be the class of the first vampire god. with all its practitioners being viewed as holy men in the ancient world. It has now been forgotten and its legacy has mostly been lost in the sands of time. The class used blood and souls, in exchange for unimaginable powers. Note: choosing this class will lead you to be viewed as a threat in many light faction territories due to the bad image of shamans. 6. Primordial Vampire Warrior, Class Rating A+. A noble dark faction class that made the primordial vampires unmatched on any battlefield as they used the blood of the fallen comrades and enemies to become gods of war on any battlefield. The class-specific skills of the primordial vampire will allow players to heal allies and kill enemies with blood. Note: choosing the class will force the player to change faction from light to dark. Max looked at the options with his hazy mind as he started to do Inky Pinky on the options with a wide grin plastered on his face. No, don't Inky Pinky it, you fool, you have to choose a reasonable option. God f*********, damn it, idiot grandson, use your brain a little. Drax shouted as although the AI did not have a heart, he felt like his heart was going to beat straight out of his chest looking at Max's current behavior. //A/N. Guys, you already know the drill, tell me in the comments what class he should choose and a small justification as to why he should choose it. You have 20 hours. The majority vote wins. //. Chapter 73 Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inky, Pinky Pawn Key, Max mumbled in his mind as his finger landed on the foot soldier option. Max stared at the foot soldier option as he blinked his eyes twice and contemplated whether or not he should really choose the foot soldier class. No, fuck this shit, Raven is not going to be a fucking foot soldier, his destiny is to be a king. A fucking vampire god. Max said in a maniacal tone as he disregarded the Inky Pinky result. Don't choose the Blood Shaman class, Max, choose the Primordial Vampire Warrior. I repeat, don't choose Blood Shaman. Drax shouted inside Max's brain. I got it, old man, stop yelling inside my brain. Don't choose the Primordial Vampire class, choose Blood Shaman. No, that's exactly the opposite of what I said. Max least. System, I choose the class Blood Shaman. System notification. You have selected the A+ rated class Blood Shaman. Your Tier 1 ascension is now complete. God damn it, I quit this job, this lad is unbelievable. If he only converted to the dark faction, he could have leveled up by killing players in the light faction and grow faster than anyone else in the damn world. What a complete buffoon. Sigh, I can't quit, this is my fault for reducing his brain activity. Although he got the SSS plus result, it had unwanted consequences at the end. It's my fault. Drax complained to no avail. Reward 1. All stats are increased by a multiple of 2.5x for the bonus clearance. Reward 2. You can choose a Tier 1 skills. Basic skill pack. Sword Intent, Beginner. Lace your sword attacks with an additional sword intent. Effects. All sword attacks are improved by 10%. Leap, Beginner. You can jump up to 7 meters in vertical height. Overhead Slash, Beginner. A skill useful for splitting one's head in two. Effects. Plus 100% critical damage on head. XXXXX. Reward 3. Choose 2/4 class-specific skills. Class-specific skill pack. Monster Summon, Beginner. Sacrifice 10 stamina points to summon one level 10 monster, or 20 points for one level 15 monster or 30 points for a level 20 monster. Note: monster type may vary from mutated orc, undead, hobgoblins etc. Restrictions. Can summon a maximum of 10 monsters in total. Blood Curse, Beginner. Sacrifice one soul, same tier as your enemy, alongside the blood of your enemy in a ritual to take off 90% off your enemy's HP bar at once. Restrictions. Maximum capacity is Tier 2 at the beginner level. Death Circle, Beginner. Draw a death circle with the blood of any bipedal species to constantly drain the HP of all enemies inside. Restrictions. Maximum diameter 100 meters at the beginner level. Brainwashing, Beginner. Brainwash any enemy with half your intelligence stat and turn them into your puppet. Restrictions. Chances of success vary from species to species. XXXXXX. Max had a few choices to make as to what skills he wanted to learn, and while Drax had an opinion as to which ones Max should choose, he kept absolutely quiet in fear of Max choosing the wrong choices yet again. Meanwhile, Sebastian, please let go of me, I'll do anything for you, just let me live my life. I trusted you, even treated you like my own grandfather, why are you doing this to me? Sebastian begged the demon inside him to let go of the control of his body. Over the past few days the demon had progressively assured Sebastian to sometimes let go of the control of his body and switch places with Asmodeus so that the demon could teach him stuff/help him achieve tasks that Sebastian was too green to do himself. However, the moment Sebastian dropped his guard, Asmodeus took over the control of the body, making Sebastian's soul a foreigner within his own body. Shoo, little boy, stop crying, I'm accumulating power to wash your soul today. Although it will be painful, from tomorrow onwards there will be no pain whatsoever as you will be a soul with all its memories being washed. Nothing but a vegetative power bank, running this godly body. Asmodeus said evilly as Sebastian squirmed in fear. Why? Why are you doing this? Why me? Sebastian questioned. Isn't that answer simple, stupid boy? I'm doing it because I can. Asmodeus said as he began laughing. My father will kill you. One day, he will kill you. Sebastian said with conviction. He had already came to terms with his fate, but he wanted to plant a horror seed inside Asmodeus before he became a vegetative power bank. Yes, if he finds out what I did to you, he will. But he won't find out, because I'll be the best and most talented son he has ever seen, and right as he starts trusting me, I'll plot to kill him, sacrificing his stupid life to the Lord Lucifer. Asmodeus replied, as he got prepared for the soul-washing procedure. Any last words, boy? He asked, wanting to hear cry and beg for his life. However, Sebastian did not give him the satisfaction, replying with all his pride intact, go to hell you fucking demon. It was supposed to be an insult, however, Asmodeus only laughed as he said, yes, that's my home after all. Ha 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 ha. He then started the procedure, torturing Sebastian's very soul, wiping off all his memories. It was an unfortunate day for the universe, as a promising demi-god fell at the hands of a despicable demon. /////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////// bay was extremely close, with Blood Shaman winning with a single vote. Honestly, this was the closest voting I've ever seen in my writing career, and all your reasonings were brilliant. Hoping for the same participation in choosing the basic and class-specific skills. Just put your votes in as to what skills to choose in both categories, no justifications needed. Voting closes in just 14 hours this time. And as usual, majority voting wins. // Chapter 74 Choices. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What skills should I choose? Max wondered, what sort of a skill is leap? That's an absolutely useless skill. What does the system think that I, Raven, the mighty can't jump? Such an insult, that system, I choose the skills sword intent and overhead slash. System notification. Basic skills have been confirmed, please move on to choose class-specific skills. Class-specific skills, Max murmured, looking at the options. System. Heed my call. I Raven the Mighty, choose the skills Brainwash and Death Circle. System notification. Class-specific choice confirmed, Tier 1 promotion is now complete. The testing arena powered down and Max's data was saved in the university database as Max was teleported out of the testing bay. Once outside, there was only the receptionist sitting near the door and a frowning Severus staring at him. Max had bit his own lip hard and blood mixed with saliva was dripping down his lips. His hair was disheveled and his walking stance had become a slightly hunched posture that saw his back muscles being contracted as a natural counter aimed at producing an instant elastic movement if ambushed by a threat. Caveman, was how one could describe Max at the moment. However, he was infinitely more dangerous as unlike a dumb caveman, Max's eyes gleamed in an intelligent yet mischievous red. Max's appearance conveyed the entire story to Severus, who was not impressed at all by the developing situation. Hungry? Max said as he stared at Severus, pulling a bag of blood out of his inventory. However, before he could lower his mask to consume the blood, Severus moved at a lightning-quick pace and aimed at landing a chop at Max's neck to knock him out. Miss Max instinctively moved back, as he released the tension in his hunched back to evade the attack, his response time greatly shocking Severus. How? Severus wondered in his mind. However, he did not take it to heart as he landed the chop the second time around, knocking out Max cold as he picked him up over his shoulder. The receptionist manager outside the testing arena gave Severus some weird looks. However, Severus only gave her a charming smile in return as he carried Max out of the place, to the staff dorm area within the university campus and into Severus's room. Max was out cold for a full 3 hours before waking up groggily inside Severus's room, where he drank blood till his satiety returned back to over 80% as the fog clouding his brain slowly started to clear up. Thanks. Max said to Severus as he drank his 4th bottle of blood to bring his satiety to a full 100%. See Max, I'm here to always look out for you, and the St. Maximus clan does provide you with a lot of blood bottles. It's even an utterly ridiculous amount at that, at almost 3 times what the direct descendants of elders get. The only job you have is to consume them on time so that your satiety stays above 80% but never falls below 60. Your repeated incompetency in doing this simple task baffles me. Severus said, I'm sore. Max tried to apologize, but Severus could not hold in his laughter and started laughing midway. PFFTTT, ha 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 ha. Look at your face, ha 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 ha. Max, you are so innocent. I'm just messing with you, man. Your beast mode rocks. Your primal instincts are so amazing. If it were up to me, I'd never let you get your satiety above 60%. Imagine if the St. Maximus clan had an army of beasts like you. We would become the strongest clan under King Regus Aurelius. Severus said. Max cringed at Severus's words and felt anger flaring inside his heart, as he finally understood why Asiva repeatedly insisted that Severus was the most annoying person in the universe. Okay, Max said in a cold tone, and Severus's laughter only increased tenfold. Ha 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 ha, ho ho, ha ha ha. Max sighed as he inspected his own stats and caught up on his new changes, with everything happening in the test becoming blurry in his memories once his satiety dropped below 60 in test 2. Nice class, it's almost a work of fate. Severus said as he wiped a tear off his eye and stopped laughing. What do you mean? Max asked curiously as to why it was a work of fate. The Mad Mage, the one revered in our St. Maximus family, was a blood shaman. You have no idea how lucky you are, Max. It's been over 1,000 years since the universe has seen the likes of one. Had you been a part of any other clan, it would have been impossible for you to find any class-specific skills for this near-forgotten class. But the St. Maximus do have a few, although I'm not sure if they have any for Tier 1. Severus replied, pleasantly surprising Max. The Mad Mage was a blood shaman. Max blurted in disbelief, oh yes, the finest. He once poisoned an entire village of 500,000 strong. Killing them overnight and sacrificing their souls to the vampire god, in exchange for raising 500 war golems, that rained terror on the ancient battlefield. He alone rivaled an entire Tier 3 army of 1 million strong, hence why he was always a target of assassinations, a glorious figure, I'll tell you, with a mighty class at that. Oh, may the vampire god rest his dead soul in peace. Severus said as he panted like he just had an orgasm talking about the Mad Mage and his glorious deeds. Max, who heard Severus's words, felt much better about his class now, as a few moments ago he was still contemplating if it was the right choice, knowing how shamans were a class known to be weak in PvP-type situations. In any case, looking at his brilliant stat panel, Max felt like all the hard work that he had put into training the past few months was absolutely worth it. He had successfully changed a cruel part of his past life at this stage, as he had changed his career path from being an F-ranked trash to an A+ ranked shaman. Although his journey had just started and this was a small and inconsequential victory compared to his end goal, it was a big deal for him, who had known the shame of bearing the F-class mark in his past life. /////A/N. Find the majorly updated stat panel in the author notes /////. Chapter 75. Back home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Max celebrated his promotion with his 3 friends in a rare small party inside the dorm canteen, as the 4 of them sat around a table and enjoyed juicy steaks of meat as Max paid for the meal. Sebastian and Asiva ate voraciously, gobbling down 600 gold coin premium alien meat steaks like they were eating a vine of grapes, eating 20.25 plates each as Max felt his stomach turn, calculating the expense every time they ordered a repeat. Asiva was very happy, as she let out a rare smile, shocking everyone on the table, in response to a lame sweeper joke made by Max. Sebastian was acting weird as he started to speak in third person from time to time, and his accent and choice of weird words sounded like he was born in the olden times, as he referred to the girls as madams and Max as monsieur. Anna was much more reserved, slowly eating thin slices of meat as she mixed it with some mashed potatoes and French beans to eat a balanced diet, completing only 1 plate after a full 1.5 hour. However, she was undoubtedly the most pleasant one to talk to, patient and a good listener, balancing out the wild energy of the other 3. Max also ate a bit, but felt his appetite die after Sebastian and Asiva moved past the 12th plate, where Max understood that he would go broke if he ate anymore. It was a fun night, and while Max did not share much details of what exactly his class was or how well his test went, everyone could make out that he was happy and it must have gone extremely well. Soon alcohol was ordered alongside the food and it started to be chugged down instead of water, with the complete single-day meal costing Max a whopping 470,000 gold coins that he paid through his 7 Galaxies bank card, hoping to gain some transaction points at least from his major spending. The 4 parted ways late at around 2 a.m., as Max carried a slightly drunk Asiva over his back as he headed to their dorms. "You have nice muscular arms," Asiva said as she gripped Max's arms tight, her long nails digging into Max's flesh, drawing a little blood. Although Max was in pain, he did not make a single sound as he calmly placed Asiva on her bed and placed a blanket over her half-sleepy body. "If the cat girl ever touches your arms, I will bury my nails inside her like this, Max. Stay away from this arm, you cat bitch." Asiva mumbled as Max did not know whether to laugh or cry at her antics, as the one she was clawing into was not the cat girl but Max. Managing to wriggle free with a lot of hard work, Max crashed on his bed, as he prepared to head back home the first thing next morning. He had been away from Earth for a long time, and aside from the house visit he also had a fight scheduled against Benedict in the evening. As Max closed his eyes, he slept with a calm expression on his face, having full confidence in himself to give Earthlings a good show the following day. The next morning, as Asiva and the others went to the fighting arena, Max headed out to the safe zone, the Tier 1 Dew-star planet, before he was able to log out of Sigma, as he was teleported back to Earth by the Universal Queen. System notification. You have entered the battle zone planet #H2047. Max was teleported back inside his room, at the exact spot from where he logged into Sigma months ago, as he felt nostalgic looking at his room and chuckled as he headed downstairs that it was only 6 a.m., and the Rajput mansion was already in a hustle-bustle. The twin kids were in their baby carts looking extremely plump and round and cute as they sucked on their pacifiers, looking at their mother making breakfast for their father. Max's modified heart skipped a beat for the first time since his transformation as he stared at his vibrant and full-of-life sister-in-law, as a borderline tear formed in his eye to see her happy and healthy. I'm home. Max murmured softly as Naomi turned and squirmed in shock, letting out a slight scream. Ag, intruder. Max instantly became alert as he looked left and right, his first instinct being to protect the kids who started to cry violently when they heard their mother's panicked voice. Naomi threw a knife straight at Max, who dodged it easily, as it impaled the TV behind him, and the roof opened up above him as Rudra blasted down the floor, in nothing but his underpants standing between Naomi and Max as he looked around and said, "Intruder where?" Naomi pointed at Max, as Rudra and Max finally understood the situation, as while Rudra had seen Max after his transformation and had been the one to hand Max the concealer mask, Naomi had not yet seen Max with red eyes and a mask, as she quite legitimately mistook him for an intruder. "Oh honey, it's our Max," Rudra said, calming Naomi down, whose jaw dropped looking at the 6'3" man who was taller than Rudra and looked extremely buff and mean with murderous red eyes. There. Rudra said as he picked the baby that was dressed in pink and tried to calm her down, while leaving the one in blue by himself to cry. "The blue one is Amy today, honey," Naomi said with a slight giggle as Rudra instantly put Jake in Max's arms and picked up Amy, calming her down. "I've told her a million times, Max, that since the kids are twins, she should always dress Amy in pink and the brat in blue. But she always plays a prank on me," Rudra said as he complained to his brother, who was lovingly tickling his nephew's nose. "Gaga ha huff, choo choo a choo." Jake laughed and then sneezed a few times as Max laughed looking at him. Apparently Jake was not affected by Max's red eyes at all, as he stared lovingly into them without any fear. Max looked around the broken living room as he felt his heart warm up looking at his family. In the background he could hear his brother and sister-in-law have a couple's fight as Rudra refused to let go of Amy and argued over the breakfast menu with Naomi. "No, we are not eating pancakes today, give Amy to me and go and put some clothes on." Naomi retaliated as she stared daggers into Rudra's eyes, forcing the mighty god to surrender to his wife's will without a second word. Max's heart melted to see that his brother was happy, his sister-in-law was alive and his nephew and niece were in the most adorable phase of their life, looking extremely plump and cute. "I'm home," Max said once more, this time with a bright smile on his face as he put the concealer mask away, back into his inventory, showing his teeth to his family, not worrying if they would misunderstand the fangs. //////A/N. This bonus chapter has been sponsored by Cervantes91, thank him in the comments for this one /////. Chapter 76. The fight is on. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rudra and Max went out on a walk on the streets of Upside after breakfast, to have some quality brother time, as the two caught up after a long time. "Your strength has improved considerably, Max, I've not seen better numbers at level 30. Good job," Rudra said after breakfast to Max, as the latter felt embarrassed listening to the praise. "Thank you, brother, but tier 1 is simply nothing, the road is long." Max replied, "Indeed, but it's still good to have some pride. A prideful man always has his pride to lose when he faces a stronger opponent, and believe it or not, more often than not it's pride that drives one to become stronger," Rudra said as he reminisced of the days where he would not sleep for weeks while training, just because his current strength was not enough at the time and his pride refused him to remain weak. Max nodded, and after a moment of silence he asked, "How's things on Earth, brother?" "To be honest, Max, it's bad," Rudra replied in a sad voice as Max raised his eyebrows. Earth was clearly very prosperous and many factions wanted to ally with Earth to obtain a destroyer-class battleship, and even though it was a newly integrated planet, with Rudra around it enjoyed considerable respect in the universe. The economics are good, the stability is good, the policies and taxation systems are working fine, but what worries me is the mentality of people here," Rudra said with an exhausted tone as if he was already fed up with Earthlings. "The people rely on me too much, Max. Many trade merchants use my name to bully other merchant groups in the galaxy with lesser backings, and I have received countless reports where Earthlings create a ruckus under my name on other planets saying stuff like, 'Do you know who protects Earth?' Do you still dare harm me? Our people bow to the strong and bully the weak, not only universally but ever since the first awakening everything has become money and benefits oriented even back home. It doesn't matter if one is handsome or talented or kind, the women will only choose the strongest one these days and society as we know it is crippling. The peace of earth is hanging by a narrow thread. That's my deterrence to foreign forces and my respect and fear amongst the natives. If someday I fall, Max, all hell will break loose for earth. Rudra said as his narration borderline depressed Max. However, in his heart he knew that it was all true. He had seen society crumble before him in his past life as well. Wanting to change the topic to something a little more upbeat, Max said, "You know, brother, the 7 Galaxy Bank just notified me about a private auction." "Yes, I know about that auction. I have a better card than you." Rudra replied with a smile, "What?" Max was a little shocked, but Rudra flashed his black card and absolutely shut him up. His brother's status was indeed not something he could compare with. "Is there any specific item I should look out for?" Rudra asked, his lips curling into a smile as he knew that Max was a reincarnator. "Yes, there will be a special item in Lot 3, item 35, prepare at least 1.7.2 billion gold for it, it's a blueprint and a money mine in my opinion." Max said. Max did not reveal much details as to how he knew about this item and its estimated price, but thankfully Rudra did not seem to pry or ask. "Okay, thanks," being his only reply. Max was shocked that his brother took such a big suggestion from him without mocking him at all, as the sum of 2 billion gold was definitely not a small amount. Max knew that the particular item in question ended up making the winning bidder's faction very powerful in the universe, and if Rudra bought it for Earth it would definitely profit the planet. However, whether or not his brother would end up acting on his recommendation, he was not sure. The duo continued walking for a while, and in the end as they neared the house, Rudra asked, "Are you ready for today's match?" Max nodded his head in confidence as he said, "Do you have any pointers?" Max knew that his brother was called the greatest mastermind strategist to ever live by his teammates, and he had seen his legendary battles all the time while growing up, so he knew that anything his brother said would be valuable. "You are comparatively much faster, test the waters a bit. If you are faster than his sword thrust, then tire him down first. Make him pay for his poor endurance stat and humiliate him afterwards," Rudra said casually as Max felt goosebumps arise on his skin. His brother had indeed understood his motives for this fight. Max did not just want to win, Max was aiming for utter humiliation. In the evening, at the arena, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, earthlings and aliens, I have one question for you all. Are you ready?" The announcer spoke as the crowd went wild. Screams *, whistles * pandemonium. Today's special event is a 1v1 martial arts fight, scheduled on the special request of the winner of the Earth's Strongest Warrior Tournaments under-19 champion Benedict Divinorum. Claps, cheers. Introducing first, the champion, weighing in at 195 pounds, standing at a whopping 6'1", Earth's very own Benedict Divinorum. Benedict sprinted onto the martial stage, as fireworks went off alongside his running path, allowing him to make a grand entrance. The crowd cheered happily for Benedict. There were many people rooting for him, as many cast inspection spells over his body to see that he was at an impressive level 45. Benedict unsheathed his sword, pointing it towards the sky as he hyped the crowd up on all 4 sides of the arena. Introducing his opponent, he is Earth's golden boy, weighing in at 203 pounds and standing at a gigantic 6 feet 3. Max Rajput. The crowd instantly went ballistic when Max's name was taken. The love and adoration he had for being Rudra's little brother was unreal, with him undoubtedly being the crowd favorite coming into this fight despite Benedict being the champion. Max walked out casually as he adjusted his shoulders and hopped on his toes to properly ramp up his agility. He was not wearing his mask, and did not have his usual red eyes and fangs, as after he requested Rudra to keep his real identity hidden, Rudra gave him an image-altering pill that helped him take his old form for the next 4 hours. Just like Benedict, Max was also bombarded with a series of inspection spells. However, all but a couple managed to break through Drax's defenses, which had increased after Max teared up. The couple spells that did manage to inspect Max belonged to some old monsters in his brother's crew who were Earth's peerless experts, and Max was not too worried about revealing his strength to them. Max unsheathed Rave Slasher, and instantly the shiny blade caught everyone's attention, as even a layman could discern that it was a fine treasure. "So you did have the balls to show up, that's shocking," Benedict said as he stared into Max's eyes with a smile. "Why would I be scared to fight a weasel like you? Aren't you overestimating yourself by a lot?" Max replied, his scathing comeback making the crowd erupt into laughter and whistles. "Why don't you? Your brother won't help you win this fight, you know. You will have to rely on your own skills," Benedict said, reminding Max that unlike the last time at the bank where Rudra gave him pocket money to show off, this time he would need to rely on himself. Max threw an inspect spell on Benedict himself and studied his stats. Benedict was at Tier 1, level 45, and had 120 points in his best stat, which was strength, and 67 points into his endurance, which was his weakest stat. Although he was a whole 15 levels above Max, his stats still could not match Max's, and with this stat advantage Max was extremely confident of beating Benedict. Being confident in his win, Max did not mind engaging in a frugal war of words with Dynavorm as he replied with a smile, "Since when have the warrior house of Rajputs been afraid of a merchant family like Dynavorm's?" Oh, a big shout was made by the crowd as the drama lovers absolutely lost their minds at the personal insult made by Max. Looking at the audience's reaction, Benedict was angered even more as he said coldly, "You will pay for these words, yap yap yap. I'm busy, you know. I only came here to fight because my brother asked me, otherwise a trash like you is nothing in my eyes, so shut up and let's get this over with fast." Max replied, "An ranked swordsman class is trash in your eyes? Well, you have certainly broadened my horizons. Now let me show you the true might of my saber," Benedict said as he disregarded the rules of the fight by not allowing the referee to properly initiate it and charged at Max straight away. Benedict was confident in sending Max flying with his first attack. However, Max confidently stood his ground, meeting his charging strike with a minimum of fuss. Clang! Their swords collided and sparks flew. The fight was on. Chapter 77, A Humiliating Defeat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Max observed Benedict's attacks like a hawk. For the first 2 minutes of the match, Benedict looked to be completely in control as Max was seen to be completely on the defensive. "What happened, Max? Where did the tough guy talk go?" asked Benedict as he smiled and thrusted his sword towards Max's abdomen as Max parried with his sword. Max was absolutely calm despite the opponent's provocation, as he knew that unlike what it appeared to the audience, the real individual controlling the tempo of this match was not Benedict but him. 100 sword cuts. Benedict shouted as he unleashed his first special move, his sword turning into a blue of movements as 100 sword slashes moved towards Max 100. Max tried to parry as many of them as he could, and managed to successfully defend his vital organs. However, he was still cut alongside his arms and legs as Benedict drew the first blood. Announcer. Max is injured, Benedict draws first blood. Cheers, boos, groans. The audience went into an uproar over the damage. It seemed like Benedict would overwhelm Max. Max was extremely calm even after the damage suffered as he activated his blood manipulation skill to make it so that his blood kept dripping from his arms constantly, whereas he healed all other cuts. Keeping his left arm down, Max only defended now with his sword in his right arm, as Benedict kept up the pressure of attacks consistently, enjoying the fight as he thought that he was about to win a certain victory. What he did not know, however, was that at this moment Max was categorically dripping his blood on the ground as he dodged, creating a massive circle of blood while he dodged Benedict's attacks. "Come on, golden boy, at least give me a fight, this is too pitiful," Benedict teased Max some more, but while he expected Max to show signs of anger, Max's grin only widened as his uncanny smile gave Benedict the goosebumps. "Why are you laughing? Are you insane?" Benedict asked. However, Max did not reply at all, as he kept dodging and blocking the enemy's attacks. The reason why Max was laughing at the moment was because he could see that Benedict's stamina had already reached below 30% and very soon his body was going to go into a fatigued state once it went below 20%, and then the speed of his attacks would reduce significantly. It had already been 12 minutes since the fight had started, and for 12 minutes straight Max had not attacked once. He had only kept moving and defending as he let Benedict exhaust himself. What is Max doing? Why is he not attacking? What a one-sided showdown. Just what is Rudra's brother up to? I've never seen Shikini being beat up like this. Come on Max, show him what you can do. Damn it. I've put $100 on you winning Max, come on do something. The audience wanted Max to start attacking now, and their wish was about to be granted as Benedict finally ran out of gas. System notification. Stamina reserves are below 20%, you enter a fatigued state, all stats fall by 30%. What? Benedict screamed in his mind when he heard the system notification, as the sword in his hand suddenly felt a lot heavier and his movements became sluggish. Max noticed his attack pattern slowing down, as his right thrust was extremely slow, while his follow-up swing was even slower as Max could parry the attacks with enough time to launch a counter in between. Max ran a quick inspection spell over Benedict and saw his plan coming to fruition. The smile on his face now became a full-blown grin as Max glanced to his right, seeing that only a meter or so was left till the blood circle was finally completed. TCH, 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 weakling. Max said as he dodged Benedict's attack smoothly and landed a kick straight to his jaw, sending him flying towards the center of the blood circle. 25 deafening cheers. The entire crowd erupted into deafening cheers when Max finally landed his first attack, as Benedict was completely stunned at how the tide had turned. He had never needed to pay attention to his stamina bar in a fight before, as he always managed to finish his opponents before he ran out of gas. This being the first time that he had to face such a consequence, and it was utterly humiliating. Max threw a glance at his brother in the audience, who was sitting on a throne smiling as he stroked Furball. Blood circle. Max said as he completed his blood circle and closed the small wound in his left arm as he charged towards Benedict in the center of the circle. Every passing second, Benedict was losing a single point in HP as he absolutely lost his mind seeing this development. What sorcery is this? Why am I losing HP every passing second? Benedict shrieked in panic, as the crowd absolutely lost their mind seeing Benedict's HP bar crawl down without Max even attacking, as they had never seen a move like this before in their life. Only now that Max shouted the name of the move, Blood Circle, did they notice that the entire martial arena was covered in one large circle of blood, which is when many realized that Max had been planning this move from a long time. A chill went down the spines of many individuals when they saw Max throw down his sword to the ground and crack his knuckles as he chuckled and easily dodged Benedict's sword attacks while landing humiliating bare-handed punches. Fight me like a man. Pick up your sword. Benedict shouted at Max, as Max easily sidestepped his sword slash and landed a punch over his bronze armor. Although it was largely ineffective, doing only 0.3 damage, Max was not intending to go for the damage effect here. His opponent's HP was already draining every second and he could not touch him either way. The only thing that Max was doing now was humiliating Benedict. What happened, Benedict? Where did the tough guy talk go? Max said, throwing Benedict's insults at the start of the match straight back at him. Arg! Benedict tried to go over a overhead slash, however, Max stepped in, dodging the sword as he caught Benedict's arm midway with his right hand, and punched Benedict straight on the nose with his left hand. Crack! The ugly sound of Benedict's nose breaking could be heard, as he roared in pain, instinctively dropping his sword as he clutched his nose with both his hands. What happened, champion? This is too pitiful, at least give me a fight. Max said as he knocked Benedict off his feet and climbed over him, controlling Benedict's arms with his left hand as he knocked him out with a brutal right arm punch. Faugh! Benedict spat out a tooth before he was knocked out cold as the referee rushed in to stop Max from inflicting any more damage. The referee was also extremely pale, with his HP bar in a yellow color from staying inside the blood circle for so long. However, Max did not care, as after checking in on Benedict, who was rushed to be treated on a stretcher, Max was announced as the victor by the referee. Max raised his arms in glory, and the audience did cheer for him. However, it was not heartfelt cheer, but rather one that was muffled with fear. Nobody expected this sort of dominance, scheming and cold-heartedness to be displayed by Max in the fight. However, his victory was undoubtedly extremely one-sided. While not many could inspect Max's class, the one thing that all Earthlings understood at the moment was that Max was by far the best under-19 they had on the planet, with a promising future ahead. Damn, Max is as scheming as his brother. That was a well-thought-out match, and the execution was extremely cold. Max humiliated Benedict before knocking him out cold with his bare fists. Did you hear Max throw Benedict's insulting lines back at him before knocking him out? That was brutal. I'd never make an enemy out of Max, he is too domineering. He is so handsome. Is he still single? Nav I thought you liked Benedict. You told me he is your crush after he won the tournament. Now you like my Max. Hey. It's not my fault that Max is taller and more handsome and stronger. And what do you mean by your Max? He is clearly my Max. Bitch, you're gonna have it now. Ag, leave my hair. Max walked off the stage and saw Rudra waiting for him in the tunnel, as he gave his brother a big smile. Rudra smiled back. He was extremely proud of Max at this moment, and although he did not show it, his heart was actually dancing with joy. I thought you would use ball crushing, Rudra said in a casual tone. Nah, a trash like him is not worthy of Master Johnny's attack. Max replied as he shrugged his shoulders. Rudra raised his eyebrows at the response, but after thinking for a while he wrapped his arms around Max's shoulders and said, indeed. Max walked into the dressing room with Rudra, where many of his old mentors and Rudra's friends congratulated him on the victory. He was very happy to see everyone, as they all joked and laughed about Max's brutal fighting style and had a good time. Even Master Ofkos was there, and Max casually picked up from a conversation that the guy was tier 4 and not tier 3. This revelation shocked Max, as he could have sworn that back at the Red Hand mercenary group he was posing as a tier 3 warrior. Curious, Max asked, by the way, big brother Master Ofkos, what are you up to these days? I have a big fish to fry, Max, wish me the best. He replied, not revealing much details. All the best, Max said, as he noted this piece of information in his mind. Chapter 78 2 months fly by. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the match, Benedict kept roaring on the forums for a rematch. However, Max was least interested in entertaining his childish demands. Benedict was face-slapped hard by Max, and it was an insult that he was not willing to carry for life. He desperately wanted to find Max and pull him for a rematch. However, to his dismay, Max was nowhere to be found. A big change occurred in the university as the principal announced that this year's end-of-the-year tournament would see a slight change. Every year, the top 10,000 students who had accumulated the highest merit points over the first 9 months of the semester participated in a massive end-of-the-year tournament which had many team-based rounds that eliminated everyone but 64 competitors, who then went on to the final 1v1 stage. The victor of the tournament was always granted a big sum of money, followed by a special reward that changed year to year. Sometimes it was a weapon, sometimes it was a scroll, but it was always a useful item at the epic grade. The real value of the tournament, however, was not in coming first, but rather in the opportunities that presented themselves once one distinguished themselves as a top student. Factions from all across the universe desperately wanted high-performing talents and would give each top performer extremely lucrative business deals to join their family. While mostly everyone in the university came from a distinguished background, the offers that came with being a top 64 warrior were so lucrative that even top nobles readily accepted the jobs. However, this year the stakes were the highest that there had ever been, with the winning price being the legendary Malgo fruit, which boosted all stats by +25. Leveling up once in Tier 0 gave only 2 unassigned stat points. Leveling up once in Tier 1 gave 3 unassigned stat points, whereas leveling up once in Tier 2 gave 4 unassigned stat points. Under such circumstances, the worth of 150 stat points was unimaginable. It was akin to gaining 50 levels at once inside Tier 1 and 40 levels in Tier 2. And it was not the only reward. A special dungeon called Dragon's Paradise was going to open up this year, and the top 16 of the tournament were going to be given an opportunity to enter the dungeon and try to obtain life-changing loot. It was because of this reason that Max saw a great change in the attitude of everyone at the academy as people became more and more frugal with saving merit points, wanting to enter the top 10,000 rankings as badly as possible. Most people stopped attending lectures altogether to save merit points, and their only focus became to farm points in the wild, as brutal PvP finally saw its dawn in the academy, as the wild forest became more dangerous to venture into because of players killing players rather than monsters. Even in this dog-eat-dog jungle, Max and his team had established themselves as neutrals who just wanted to go to school and farm monsters, as they were rarely attacked by enemy forces. A major part as to why nobody bullied them was because of Sebastian's unbelievable strength, which saw him toy with 10.12 opponents at once without losing a breath. Although Max, Asiva and Anna were all powerful warriors in their own light, everyone paled in comparison to Sebastian. 2 months later, there were only 2 months and 14 days left until the top 10,000 were locked for the end of the year tournament, and the gap between the others and Max and group had already widened by a large margin. Rank 10,000 had a whopping 870,000 merit points, whereas Asiva, who was saving most of her points and had the highest merit points saved in the group, has only 610,000. Max sat at a pitiful low of 9,000 points, as at this point in time it was a mystery if he would be able to even get the 100,000 needed for graduation. Max, the 3 of us have already decided to enroll into the tournament, and the team round requires us to have at least 3.5 people. You sure you don't want to come? Asiva asked in a worried voice as she tried to convince Max to give up on his mad training for stat maximization and rather focus on the tournament. No, my goal is fixed, Asiva. Even if I don't enter the top 10,000 ranks, it's fine. I just want to train hard and reach stat maximization for Tier 1. I'm already at level 65 and have faith to reach level 100 by the time that 2 months end. Max replied resolutely, but it's a dumb choice, Max. The rewards are just too good to pass on, and you have the potential to actually make it big in the tournament. You are better than 99% fighters in the university. Asiva pressed Max to give in and accept her suggestion. No, Asiva, I'm sorry. My path is chosen and I will not deviate. Max was resolute in his reply. He had long found his goal, and while Sebastian ditched him midway to pursue the top 10,000 ranks, he was going to see it through to the end. He was going to walk out of the university only as a perfected Tier 1 warrior and nothing less. Okay, in that case you will need to come back from the university to dorms alone from now on, because us 3 will be out farming for points all day. Asiva said as he slammed the metal window between her room and Max's, clearly annoyed at Max's stubbornness. It was not like Max felt that Asiva's advice was wrong. To be fair, the tournament was an extremely lucrative opportunity, but his lifestyle was basically spending about as many merit points as he earned, and to sustain his training he had no other option but to continue to spend merit points like water, not saving any to train full 13 hours a day. Although the path he chose was different from his friends, he was resolute in becoming the perfect warrior. ////A/N. This chapter is a bonus for hitting the Power Stone's target. Good job everyone ////. Chapter 79 Max's Improvements. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Max's training got even more intense as the month went on. However, he was annoyed at the fact that his road to the university became much more difficult without his team by his side. Although his reputation as the Hound made it so that some small groups let him slide, on average he needed to engage with at least 3.5 groups a day on his way to university, and while he did manage to defeat a few of them, he had to flee 9-10 times in order to not be killed. Eventually things became so bad for Max that he had to actually actively seek the shuttle service to go back and forth from university and stay awake for an extra 2 hours a day to farm points late at night so that he could pay for lecture and training the next day. However, in Max's eyes all this struggle was worth it, as he could see much more tangible results in his training now. Inside the gravity chamber, Max trained under an intense 17G force, and with the tournament rolling around and the strongest of the university busy with gathering merit points, he was the only person to train in that room. In the library, Max had read over 200 books and solved over 50 puzzles to become the only non-nerd student in the university to be issued a library card that allowed him to take one book/week back to his dorm. In the strength training, Max now actually used a heavy 150 kg sword during his training routine and managed to land a correct strike 8 out of 10 times. His form, posture and muscle imbalances were all corrected, as Max's training even left the trainers impressed at his accomplishments. In the endurance training department, Max could now run up a hill with more than 60 degrees inclination for up to 1 mile. It was an incredibly difficult feat, as the principal himself joined Max on his run one day, and while it was his warm-up run and Max's highest level of training, the fact that Max had caught up to his warm-up run had incredibly impressed the principal, who kept an special eye out on Max, the only student to have diligently followed his stat maximization program this year up till now. In the Constitution department, Max was now having the university incur losses, as the potency of the medicine used to increase his constitution cost a whopping 10,000 gold coins a session. With Max undertaking 5 sessions a month, it was close to a 50,000 gold expenditure on a single student. However, the filthy rich university did not mind. If the student needed it, they were ready to bear the costs. Max's weakest department continued to be dexterity, as while he tried his hands in all fields, he turned out to not be talented in any except alchemy, but the fact of the matter was that the field he hated the most was also alchemy. From blacksmithing to tailorship to even carpentry, Max caused workplace hazards in every lab he stepped into, and every lab master making him quit with their 2 hands joined in a namaste. In the end, Max showed uncanny talent in recognizing herbs once he was shown them, and had a knack for understanding when to add new ingredients during a brewing process. In 6 months that he worked in the lab, he was promoted to head disciple and was even taught many invaluable alchemy formulas like basic strength potion, basic mana potion and basic love potion. But while Max was good at alchemy, his mind felt incredibly bored when he stirred and mixed chemicals. Even in the lectures, Max learnt a lot, as he understood many fundamental things about being a warrior and the secrets of the universe that he did not know before, with the most important concept that he learnt undoubtedly being how weapons were important to a class. There was a very logical reason as to why mages carried staffs while swordsmen carried swords and lumberjacks carried axes. The shape and type of weapon and why a class used them all had a clear correlation and logic behind them, according to which logic Max understood that in future, if his class remained the same, he would need to find a bone staff for himself, because using a bone staff would see the potency of his spells as a blood shaman be increased by 15.25%. As a kid growing up watching his brother slay everyone with his dual-wielding technique, Max never imagined himself as a staff-wielding backliner. However, the practicality of the weapon was undeniable. Staffs were basically amplification devices. They were natural conductors of mana, and when a spell passed through them, it resonated and amplified to give better results. Bone staffs were even more special, as they were made from species who were once conductors of mana, hence they had even higher quality. This made it so that even Max's spells that were not based on mana but rather blood, could gain an aspect of mana by passing through them and be amplified. For example, in theory, brainwash could become a group brainwash skill if used via a staff. Unfortunately, for the time being, Max did not have a bone staff, and with the item not having much use for any light faction professions, it was seldom sold and found in the light faction market. On his mercenary side, Max was successfully promoted to an E-ranked adventurer, and the difficulty of the missions he could take on increased a little. But the main advantage was that he connected and networked with a lot of mercenaries over the last few months and was well liked by everyone in the organization, since he never asked for promotion letters or befriended any higher up just to suck up to them for benefits. This saw Max being invited to parties and celebrations he would never be invited to even if he was a C-ranked adventurer, and in those parties he got information about high-level events. But the most interesting piece of news that he obtained was shockingly related to the same topic he had seen back in school. The Red Hand Group paid a whopping 2.4 billion gold coins to secure 12 seats for the Dragon's Paradise dungeon, which had a max cap of Tier 2 adventurers being able to enter. It had a powerful barrier that did not allow any powerful creatures above Tier 2 to enter. However, weaklings could bypass that security measure and still enter through special means. The dungeon had a serious time limit of just 7 days, and one had to leave the place by hook or by crook under 7 days' time, because missing the time limit meant being stuck inside the dungeon for 3 more years with no communication to the outside world whatsoever, and with the dungeon being a battle zone in those 3 years, deaths inside were permanent. Only for 7 days was the dungeon a part of a wild zone, and every 3 years a total of 10,000 individuals could enter, and while the danger of death was very high, with only 1% individuals ever surviving the place. During the 7 days that it was part of a wild zone, one was just teleported outside the dungeon and their deaths were not permanent. The dungeon fell under the control of the Kingdom of Thunder, and it sold the entry tickets to the dungeon at astronomical prices every 3 years, with all 10,000 spots being heavily contested. The reason behind the high price was simple. Dragons. A dragon was considered to be one of the topmost battle pets to have ever existed, and even though the entry price was astronomical, if one could loot a dragon's nest their returns would be several times doubled. Gathering all this information, Max felt like he had truly lost an opportunity of a lifetime by not seriously preparing for the upcoming tournament, because despite the astronomical price his university seemed to have secured 16 spots. Even though he had lost out on the opportunity, Max was not selfish at all, and he wholeheartedly shared all the information that he had gained with Asiva and others, wishing them the best in their endeavors as he focused on his training. Little did Max know that Sebastian/Asmodeus had long known this secret of the dungeon, and it was the only reason why he was still a part of this university. Chapter 80 Unexpected Reward. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2 days before the end of the year tournament start. Ouch, can you be a little more gentle? Asiva complained to Max as the latter applied medicine on her wounds. Are you not the same girl who had her skin ripped to her bones and still did not utter a single sound? Are you not Asiva the Bloodless? Max teased as he began applying medicine a lot more gently. Max, I will rip your skin from your bones if you call me that name again, Asiva said, gritting her teeth. 9 months had passed since the duo first entered college, and 2 days later the top 10,000 rankings were going to be locked. The reason why Asiva was so badly wounded was because today a group of over 300 students ambushed Sebastian, Asiva and Anna in the wild looking for their hard-earned merit points. However, the trio was successful in ditching them and reaching the dorms. The 3 of them were all under the top 5,000 ranks with over 1.5 million merit points saved, whereas the 10,000 spot was at 990,000. With this lead it was all but assured that the group was going to enter the tournament, as the remaining 2 days were simply too short of a time for anyone else to catch up. The team rounds are going to be tough. I wish I had you to cover my back, Asiva said as she laid bareback in front of Max, who applied medicine on her wounds. You don't want me covering your back, after all I do it very hard, not gentle at all. Max teased Asiva, who turned just for a moment enough to slap Max before laying back down. However, Max's speed had increased considerably after his training in the gravity chamber, and he dodged the slap as he said, "Nice tits." A deep red blush appeared on Asiva's face as she realized that Max had seen her privates for the 1 second that she lifted her body to slap him, as although Max could not see her face, looking at her red ears he smiled. Okay, I'm joking, I didn't see shit. Asiva breathed a huge sigh of relief when Max said this. Max chuckled at her innocence. The dangerous princess was quite easy to bully if you knew how to. You know, princess, if you were back at my planet you would not be considered such a big loser to be a virgin at 18, it's quite normal. Max said, what do you mean? I'm not a loser even here. Just because I don't sleep with cat-beast boys and frolic around doesn't make me a loser. Asiva retorted, that joke has run its course, princess, not good enough. Max said with a smile, satisfied that the insult could no longer wound his pride. All done, Max said as he stood up and washed his hands before crashing on the bed in his own room. Asiva opened the metal shutter between the two and said, if possible, use the shuttle service to come and go these next 2 days, Max. It's pandemonium out there, even we are not going to go out anymore till the tournament. Max nodded as he said, I understand Siv, I have 60,000 merit points saved, I will be able to manage for a few days. You know, Max, although I've been fighting with those two for the last 3.4 months, I feel like our chemistry is still the best. Asiva said in a sad voice, of course, it's because I'm awesome, Max said with a beaming smile, I miss fighting with you. Asiva said as she shut the metal window between the two and went to bed. Max was speechless about her last words for a while, but then sighed deeply as he murmured, so do I. Truth be told, even Max wanted to participate in the tournament badly, but he did not have the opportunity to do it anymore. He had missed the most critical points gathering time and focused on improving himself instead, and now even though he had a burning desire to participate, he did not have the merit points needed to do so. The next day, Max took the shuttle to university, and he was the only person to attend the usually jam-packed principal's classes on this day, as the principal himself walked in shock to see even a single student being seated. It's you. The principal said as he recognized the mask instantly. The principal had kept an eye on Max for the last few months and had talked to the various receptionists and trainers as to how he was doing, only to be highly praised as a training freak by everyone. Good morning, sir, Max said with respect. Tell me, boy, why do you persevere on the path of the perfect warrior? You are the only one to follow the routine I gave at the start of the semester. Every other student dropped it by the 6-month mark, but you are still here. The principal asked with great curiosity. I have faith, sir, faith that if an institution this prestigious with many Tier 4 professors has a Tier 3 warrior as principal teaching combat, the path he has chosen must be special. Max replied. The principal's eyes shined brightly when he heard the answer as a rare grin appeared on his face as he sized up Max. So, how long till you perfect Tier 1? The principal asked. A month at best, 20.21 days I think if I go really hard and skip lectures. Max replied, oh, so close. Tell me, student, why did you not aim for the tournament? No particular reason, it's not like I did not want to, but the time I have is limited and I could have either spent my merit points to learn and train, or saved them for the top 10,000 spot. I came into the university to train and learn, and since that goal is achieved I'm fine even if I miss out on the tournament. Max replied honestly. The principal was silent for a long time, as he contemplated something big. The principal really liked Max and his conviction. He was an honest and hard-working kid, hence after a bit of internal turmoil the principal decided to award Max some merit points. Varsity notification. You have gained 1 million merit points. Max's eyes popped out when he saw the notification, as he was completely dumbfounded by what he saw. Listen to me, boy, and listen to me well. When you go out of this class, the official reason that you say to receive these merit points is that the principal said that the tournament was a great place to learn team and 1-on-1 combat, so he rewarded everyone in the class with 1 million merit points to get there. But since it was only me, only I have received it. On a personal note, consider it as a reward from my side for your hustle the last 9 months and as a loan for you to show the power of the perfect warrior to the students who missed out on this opportunity. Don't disappoint me. /////A/N. This chapter is a bonus for hitting the GT target. Good job everyone. //